All right. We're going to start right away because we're just a minute past 12. You're all welcome to this Legal Surgeries brought to you by Time to Heal. On behalf of Time to Heal, and Time to Heal is a charity registered in Scotland, and we deliver support and empowerment to victims and survivors. So this legal surgery is brought to you by the legal support team of the charity, and is meant to deal with topical issues that affect domestic abuse and violence, with a view to seeing how we can better support the victims and survivors, and how we can make the laws work for everyone. So this is the 6th week of these surgeries, and today we are going to be dealing on a dealing with very interesting topic. It's titled, as you can see on the screen, Abuse on the Electronic Media, What to Know and How to Regulate. This topic will be handled by one of our very own team member, Ting. Currently, it might interest you to know that she's currently in China, so she's delivering all the way from China. So we are happy that she's able to make these surgeries today, despite the distance. So everyone who has just joined us on Zoom, you're welcome very much. Special thanks to every member of the team who has delivered topics and helped so far, and to everyone who will be joining us so far on Facebook, rather, anyone who will be joining on Facebook and who will be watching later, please, you're welcome as well. Feel free to place a comment. If you have questions from Facebook, please place a comment there, and we'll be able to read the questions and answers will be given. If you have any privacy concerns, please let us know, because this recording is live on Facebook, and we will do our best to ensure that your concerns are addressed. So once more, you're welcome to this legal surgeries. And before we go straight, I want to call on our manager and the head of Time to Heal, Reverend Abiola Crown, to give us some few opening remarks, and then we dive in straight into the topic. Over to you, Ma.
Good morning, everyone. We are very grateful again for the gift of life, and I am particularly very grateful on behalf of the management to our presenter for today, Ting Liu. Thank you so much. It must have taken so much commitment and love for the people for you to be able to deliver this one, looking at also the time difference between us. Please, we sincerely appreciate this effort and every member of the team. Please, let's all enjoy ourselves and listen attentively. And I am ready with my pen and everything, just ready to take note this morning. Thank you very much, Lossie, for putting this together. It's a lot of effort. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. That is Reverend Abiola Crown, the founder and the head of Time to Heal. We appreciate your presence here as well. And to all the team members who are here, or everyone, we welcome you once more. So having said that, we live at the time, and we live in a world where almost everything happens on the electronic media. Companies are striving so hard to have very fantastic websites. Phones are the order of the day. Everyone has one or two social media channels, and we deal with this every day: emails and the telephone calls, chats, and all that. So as good as these technologies are, they have very fantastic opportunities for good influence. They also come with loads of risk. Those who are perpetrators of abuse have also used it as a means of causing mayhem and perpetrating abuse and violence. So we're today going to be looking into what does this look like? How does this abuse happen on the electronic media, and what do we need to know as survivors and victims of domestic abuse? What do we need to know, and how can the law ultimately regulate these activities in order to protect the victims and survivors, and in order to make the society a better place? That is why Time to Heal has couched this topic titled Abuse on the Electronic Media, what to know, and how to regulate. With that in mind, I will invite Ting Liu to go straight into our presentation today. She's the one who has graciously agreed to discuss this topic, and we appreciate every effort that she has put in this. Over to you, Ting Liu. You're welcome to this Legal Surgeries today.
Hi. So first, can I make sure my camera, because I'm not sure I'm using the right camera angle. I'm sorry about that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, perfect. Could you please turn back to the slides? Thank you. Okay, hello, good morning, everyone. Today, my topic is abuse on the electronic media, what to know and how to regulate. My representation will be divided into 3 parts. The first part, I'm gonna talk about cyber harassment in general. And in the rest parts, I will talk about 2 types of cyber harassment. So I'm going to talk my first part, cyber harassment in general. And so first, I want to talk about what is cyber harassment. Cyber harassment is a form of harassment using electronic means. It is also known as online harassment. Cyber harassment is when someone harasses others on the internet or in other digital space, particularly on social media sites. With the explosion of digital sphere and development of advanced technology, the cyber harassment has become increasingly common. Harmful harassment behaviors could include posting rumors, threats, sexual remarks, and the leaking of victims' information. So harassment can be identified by repeated behaviors and intent to harm. Some cyber harassment cross the line into unlawful or criminal behaviors, and I will have a detailed talk about this unlawful cyber harassment later. And also the most common places for cyber harassment, usually it will happen in social medias like your Facebook and your Instagram or like TikTok. And also it can be in like some messaging apps, like directly on your phone. And also it can be on your like your email, and or like gaming communities, like people can talk to each other. And this always happens when you playing games, when you playing game and talk to each other, and this might happen, the cyber harassment. So cyber harassment is something with the advanced technology. So what is the difference with the cyber harassment and the traditional harassment? In large extent, cyber harassment is similar to traditional harassment. However, there are some differences. Lawson, I think you could one more page, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. And first, it's about anonymous, because it is very hard to find out the offender because of the nature of the online interactions. The harassment might be anonymous. As a result, the victims may not know the identity of the harassment or why the harassment is targeting them. And second, the difference is about the negative effect of the harassment. It is much more terrible. And it shows from the 4 aspects. First, it's about persistence. Digital devices such as smartphones, laptops, and other devices have made it possible for people to communicate with each other at all hours and from earlier and any place. And they offer ability to immediately and continuously communicate 24 hours a day. So it would be difficult for the victims experiencing cyber harassment to find relief. victims can be removed from the negative social situation. It is very difficult. It's very difficult for them to escape, because it's like they can contact you all the time. And the second is about the public. The content used to harass the victims can be spread and shared easily among many people. Because the internet makes the space shorter, everyone can reach the same content. So the harmful content to the victims, when it's put online, everyone can read it, and everyone surfers the internet, they can know it. And the third is about permanent. Most information communicated electronically is permanent and public. If they are not reported or removed, the content often remains accessible long after the initial incident. A negative online reputation impacts college admission, and also it can impact your employment and like your other areas of life. Like when you're finding a job, maybe your boss will searching on Facebook or other website to see the past history of you. And if someone puts something like negative or rumors on you, that could be a very big effect on you. Even after 5 years, what post is still there. And the last is very hard to notice, because it's in digital world. Online platforms and apps don't exist in real life. Cyber harassment may be very hard for teachers, administrators, parents to discover, because they don't have the access to the students or other person's online activity. It's like totally apart from our reality life. So it's very hard for people around the victims to realize the harassment is taking place. So due to the natures of the cyber harassment, I'm going to talk about the negative. So I'm going to talk about the negative effect of the cyber harassment. First, victims of cyber harassment may experience lower self-esteem and increased suicidal ideation and a variety of negative emotion response, including being scared, frustrated, angry, or depressed. As a result, the victims has twice possibility to suffer from the mental disorder compared with the traditional harassment. So in general, the cyber harassment, when we meet cyber harassment, what should we do? And here there are some websites. This is for the cyber harassment in UK. The first one is the National General. When you meet cyber harassment, and you can report the harmful content online. This is the website. This is for general. And also, if your family have children, or if you are a child, then you can go to the second website. It's totally for children. And it's not only for cyber harassment, also for what happens in your real lives, like when you get bullied in the school or get treated not fair, which harms you think, and then you can, as a child, you can go to the second website to report what happens to you, and maybe you can get the help. Yeah, that's the part for the general cyber harassment. And then I'm gonna to talk about two specific kind of cyber harassment. The first one is hate speech. So what is hate speech? Hate speech means public speech that express hate or encourage violence towards person based on something such as your race, your religion, your nation, your sexual orientation. For the special things about hate speech, it is regulated by law. In UK, the law protects people from being targeted because of the aspect of one person's identity. From criminal aspect, the UK criminal law currently responds to hate crimes in three main ways. First, they will criminalizing conducts, including expression that is intended or likely to stir up hatred on the ground of race, religion, or sexual orientation. And the second is about creating separate aggravate offenses for specific crimes which demonstrated or are motivated by hostility towards a person's race or religion. And the third is giving the court greater sentencing power if in committing the crimes, the perpetrators were motivated by hostility and towards the person's race, religion, sexual orientation, disability, and transgender status. And then from the civil aspect, there's still regulation for protecting people who suffering from hate speech. The law is the Equality Act 2010. The act protects people from discrimination on the ground of their age, disability, gender reassignment, and marriage and civil partnership. Also race, religion, beliefs, sex, or sexual orientation. It enables private individual to sue a person or organization for discriminating against them on the protection ground in various contexts, including in employment and also in the provision of service and in education. This is the regulation in UK, and also hate speech is not tolerated by the whole world. And here are some examples. Lawson, could you please change a page? Thank you. The first one is in 2019. It's Jed Davison was jailed for 4 years for stirring up racial and religious hatred through a video on Instagram. The judge said, this is a warning to people that posting materials online can have damaging consequences for them offline. And another example is also in 2019. Stuart Hansen was found guilty of sending by public communication an offensive message and sentenced to 12 weeks in jail, uplifted from 8 weeks to take account of the religious hate crime element of the offendings. So that's like the general situation of hate speech. It's very sharp and can harm people, but also you are protected. And what you can do if you become a victim of hate speech? I think first is from mentally when someone judges your gender, your sexual orientation or your race or anything. I think the first is to support yourself. Tell them it's like you have no problem. The problem is on the people who tell in such mean things. And then what you can do is also talking about the within UK, because what they said is against the law. So you can take a screenshot and document what these people type to you or what they say to you, and then go to the website to report online hate materials to the police. And also in Scotland, you can do the first website in UK, and also Scotland, they provide a special website, especially for Scotland. So if you are living there, you can go to the both websites and to report what is happening and what you think. Yeah, that's all for the hate speech part. And then I'm gonna to talk about the third part, cyber stalking. So cyber stalking, I think it's a more dangerous form of cyber harassment, which and it's usually the victims are women. The offenders use electronic communications to stalk victims. Cyber stalking is a repeated course of conduct, and that's aimed at a person, designed to cause emotionally distress and fear of physical harms. And the cyber stalking have different ways, like it can be a threat of violence, often from sexually, and spreading lies asserted as a fact. It's like a rumor, like posting and saying someone has a criminal records. And also it can be posting sensitive information online, such as you can say like some men, they will put a nude picture of a woman, or like even though it's a compromising photos or something which will be invade to the privacy of a person. And also society secure numbers. And next, it can be technological attacks, like forcefully shutting down a person's social media account, then you cannot use it anymore. And so about cyber stalking, I think a very typical example is that of a celebrity is a hacker stolen nude photos of Jennifer Lawrence and posted them online. Jennifer said she feared of her career will be influenced by the man's behavior, and also she labeled the man's behavior as a sex crimes. And when cyber stalking happens, for most women, the digital space of theirs is invaded with sexual harassment, violent messages, and threats. And their private data and information and photos are under high risk of being exposed. They are under like quite high risk. So when we meet cyber stalking, what should we do? And here are some suggestions for cyber stalking, and still like some website information. Lawson, could you please change the slides? Thank you very much. So what should you do if you become a victim of cyber stalking? If it's emergency, you can call 999. And if it's not emergency, you can contact your local police. And also you should be firm about yourself. Clearly tell the offender to stop contacting you and stops to reply his message or anything else. Just stop the contacting, and keep and document everything of your communication with screenshot in case the harasser tries to delete the messages. And also, apart from the ways to report and call the police, there are other helps available as well. There are some like charity groups or volunteer groups. They offer free consult. They offer free consult service for cyber stalking. You can see from the next page of my slides, and there are their names and the ways to get contact. So there are organizations supporting cyber stalking. The first is like National Stalking Helplines, and behind it is their number. And if you are in trouble and you try to tell the police, but you still like feel afraid, or you still want to get some suggestions more specific how to do, and you can call it. And the second is the same. The two are for the whole over the United Kingdom. If you meet cyber stalking problems, you can contact them. And also the last is for Scotland. It's Scottish Women AIDS and the Victim Support Scotland and the Scottish Women Rights Centre. And if you meet any problems, and you can try yourself, and if you cannot tell the police, and if you cannot finish it or get over it, then you can get more like professional advice, or they give you a direction what to do from this kind of organizations. Yeah, and then that's all my talk for today, and thank you all for the listening. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Ting. I don't know about others. I think this has been very insightful, very topical issue, very, very important. at this time, we need to talk about this whole issues. You really, really touched on the things that are happening right now, talking about cyber harassment, the different types of cyber harassment. You mentioned hate speech, and you also talked about cyber stalking. And I'm sure everyone will have questions or comments to feed in. You just touching a little bit on what you mentioned. You said the difference between cyber harassment and traditional harassment. You mentioned anonymity, that because it is done in the electronic domain, the person is usually anonymous and it is persistent. It happens over and over again. That's true. The person keeps doing the same thing. And you can't pin your hand or your head on who the person is. And it's public and it's done in the electronic domain. Everyone sees it. At times it's very, 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 very depressing. And it is permanent. That's true. It's permanent because when it's done there, unless the person removes it from the domain, you will always see it. And every time you see that harassment, it brings back, there's a negative domino effect it has on the victim. And it is hard to notice. So it is very important we looked at all these things, and it's very important for legislators as well, whilst trying to regulate and make laws, that this aspect, these key features of cyber harassment are addressed. How can you address the anonymity issue? How can you address the persistency issue? How can you address the public aspect, the permanent nature, and the fact that it's hard to deal with? And that's very good of you. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. And you again touched on the effects, the negative effects of this issue. You mentioned that it could lower self-esteem and it could lead to suicide, and then it has negative emotional responses. So, I mean, it is life-threatening to put in one word. It is really life-threatening. So, may I just ask if anyone has more questions? I will open the floor for them to ask. Also, anyone watching on Facebook, if you have questions, please drop them on the chat button, and I will be able to read from there. Thank you so much. So, talking about the issue of anonymity, how do we deal with that? Let's put on the cap of a legislator of the government. How do you deal with the issue of anonymity in trying to tackle cyber harassment and abuse in the electronic domain? What is your view about that?
Well, I think for the anonymity issues, how do you say, it's like it's very hard to avoid, because if you try to use some ways to find out who it is, then it would be a conflict between the citizens' privacy, their own privacy right, and also the public morality. So there would be a conflict. So my opinion is there should be a balance between the public morality and also the personal privacy. Like if there is like what I mentioned behind it, it's like when there is a hate speech, then you can report it to the police online, and then the police will find out. And from the case I give is the people who post this kind of things online, and the people and from the police, they can search for their IP address and find out who there is and find their personal information, and then they will get criminal punishment. And but like from the general cyber harassment, like maybe someone saying some rumors, well, like if it's not important, like not very important, but it still will be a harm to your life. Like in this situation, I don't think it is fair to use like how do you say government authorities to to fight against it, because it's like a bit too far. It's too much away, because I think the people's privacy is something they need to protect as well. I think like from this kind of content, if it's not racist or very serious things, but they still it's cyber harassment, my suggestion is what you can do is first, like the website I provided, you can report it on the website, and also you can check what apps or website you are using. Like if you are using Instagram and someone like saying something bad to you, and what you can do, maybe you can block him and do not listen to him anymore. And if it's a private message, I think this is a way to deal with it. And also if the people, if it post it, and what you can do, I think you can contact first from the Instagram administrator. Like some people, like you can check every app you are using, they will have a policy, and you can check from the like the website administrator and tell him what is happening there and request to delete it and tell like to put the evidence on and how to say contact the minister and ask him for help. And also there's another way. You can check the company, like which company hold this kind of apps. You can get contacted to the company directly and tell them what is happening there and ask for help. Because there are some, you can check every time you use app or something, what their policies are, like when people put harmful content and what they will do, and you can follow their policy. And also to the companies who operating this kind of apps, they will have a policy as well to protect people. And you can, when you sample, you can read their policy and find ways to get contact to the app administrator or to the company and tell them what is happened there. Yeah, that's my suggestion.
Thank you very much for the detailed response. That's very, very, very helpful. Thank you. I think it's important that we looked at that anonymity concern, because if, for example, a perpetrator had a name before, I mean, the family, they've taken it in the area of domestic abuse now, someone who used to abuse a particular person, and then after a while, perhaps they separated and they went their part to allow for life to resume. But if the perpetrator eventually changes his or her name and assumes another pseudonymous name on the website, it becomes difficult for the victim to actually know who the perpetrator is. But one of the ways that one can navigate through that, in my own opinion, would be to look at the track record, the communication pattern, the language, the way, the exact content of the abuse, and be able to report that the perpetrator may have resurfaced, but in the electronic domain, and then a forensic investigation can be carried out. But it's important we looked into it. One of the most interesting things that you mentioned, in my opinion, as well, is that there is always support. There is always support, and you gave some website and contact that, despite the fact that these are very heinous offenses, there is support. First of all, the law protects the victims and survivors against abuse, whether in the electronic domain or anywhere. You mentioned the Equality Act, especially when you're talking about hate speech and the rest. So the message is that there is support and there is protection. Though hate speech is sharp and it's hurting, there is always support. So I mean, I would just open up the floor for everyone who is here to chip in one or two things. If you have questions, if you have ideas, anything you feel that we should be aware of to support victims and survivors of domestic abuse in the electronic domain, and on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, and the rest, what can we do, and how should the law protect in this area? Anyone?
Yes.
I think I've got a question on our chat. If you could hear me from here, I think Karuna is making a comment and at the same time a question. She said, with the growing use of internet and online technology, especially children at a very young age are now online due to homeschooling or just watching online websites and playing games. Is there a specific website or a place where we can check which sites are safer or not, and how can we better protect our younger generation?
I see.
Do you have an answer?
Well, my opinion to this question, well, I think, how to say, what is dangerous is not website itself. Like if a website is not suitable for teenagers or children, they will tell you the age should be 18, or they should tell you the legal age to enter the website. So actually, I don't think the website could be a danger. Like if they are not tell you the age or something, or a game community or something, then it's well be suitable for children to play. But what hurts the children is not the website, but the people in the web, using the website. Because when you are playing game or you are surfer the internet, you don't know what kind of people you will meet. Like the website is safe, but you cannot control the users. For the cyber harassment, it's not bring it up by the website itself, but it bring up by the people using the internet. So the only way I think from ourselves is to first teach your children do not the online manners. It's like your daily life, how to behave polite and respect others on the internet. And also also needs to tell the children the detriment argument, like the words or people saying to you when you meet online, to tell them this is not something this is not something I saw a message, and I will read it later, and I will finish my part first. And so I think also you need to teach your children how to face this kind of detrimental words. And if your children, you think she's being bullied or suffering from the cyber harassment, then you can go to the website of the I provided for the general cyber harassment to report the harmful content or website. And also here I saw a message, and Joanna, she said that there are several antivirus protection apps which are capable of checking cybersecurity of a website and compare them to the least unsecure site. And but I'm not very sure what does security mean. Could you please give a bit explanation? I will send the message. Here is the message.
You gotta beat me first.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for that. I think I've seen the message. Can I ask everyone to mute now? If your microphone is on, please let's mute our microphones for now, and then when we call you, you can unmute your microphone just for clarity of sound and recording. So thank you for that. I read the message, Ting, and the message from you saying that the point is that she believes that there are several antivirus protection apps which are capable of checking the cybersecurity of a website and compare them to listed on secure sites. So it's important. I think Karuna made a very, very, very important point that you've responded, that we have to be very careful what our children watch online, because it is called World Wide Web. So it has a lot of good things, and it also has loads of negative content that if we don't check them properly, it could affect a child, especially at that age when they haven't gathered all the capacity needed to decipher from what is good and what is bad. But you made a very valid point, Ting. You said that not the website, that the website necessarily is not a problem, because most websites have age restrictions, and they come with they're required by law to restrict some certain age if they are not meant for youngsters. That it is the people who use this website, the people who manage this website, the content creators of the website, who actually make this website very, very toxic. And that therefore we have to be very mindful of the website, that when we're using the website, we have to be polite, we have to be respectful, and the content should be examined properly before we delve into. Of course, we didn't need to be told that when you see a pornographic website that a child should not, without being told, you don't need a prophet for that. A child should not delve into that website. So I think that that's very important to mention. And the point of cybersecurity, the commentator is right. There are some apps being developed right now where we can use to simulate and check the validity, the security, and the potential harmfulness of some websites. So we need to do all this. It's important we have IT education. We need to be aware that things are getting complicated and get the requisite skills to make sure we decomplicate these things in such a way that the harmful contents are discarded and the useful ones are taken advantage of in a good way. But for now, specifically, we want to make sure that the contents do not become a breeding ground for perpetrators to continue the abusive conduct on victims and survivors of domestic abuse. So I think I've seen another comment from the chat page, and that is from one of our team members as well. Ting said, Holly said, Ting, I'm sorry I can't contribute today. My mic isn't working. Great info. Thank you so much. Not so much a question, but I think it is a really interesting time to discuss this topic in regards to reporting reporting to social media sites. They are able to take a back seat in these issues as they are legally considered as a platform rather than a publication, essentially removing their legal responsibility. Their policies are largely driven from a corporate social responsibility perspective and the rest. So it is very important that we have to look into these discussions. Do we have further comments, questions on this issue? I think it affects everyone. It affects families, corporate entities, and individuals. I think so. If I may pick up a little bit on cyber stalking while we're waiting for others to ask their questions. I'm sorry, I'm just asking asking you so many of the questions. So you mentioned that thank you, that cyber stalking is an electronic communication. It occurs in an electronic manner, and it is a repeated conduct, and it comes in form of threats of violence, and it in form of spreading lies against and it also comes in form of posting sensitive information.
Okay. It's good.
And it comes in form of. Can you hear me?
A bit noisy just now. Could you please repeat again? Someone get a bit interrupted.
Okay, I will try and mute some of this microphones so you can hear me better.
Someone is talking, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine now.
Right, good. So thank you so much. I wanted to ask the different types of cyber stalking, different ways cyber stalking can manifest. You mentioned that it could come in form of threat of violence, spreading lies, and then posting sensitive information. How can you individually, I know there is a legal requirement to protect victims, but for us, for victims, for survivors, and for everyone, what can we do as individuals to safeguard our sensitive information and to ensure that we do not leave ourselves vulnerable? I don't know whether that makes sense.
So if my understanding is right, you are asking for a normal person of their own private data protecting, right, to avoid the happening of cyber stalking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think from the first, do you use iPhone? And such as me, I don't use iCloud because it's very, very easy to, if you use iPad or use your phone, if you change your phone, just you use the same Apple account. And it's easily if you put your photos in, and then everywhere you can go to your photos. And so for me, I avoid to use something like this. I will maybe choose to store somewhere, but I'm not choosing to how to say, to store my photos in an app like this. I will avoid it because it's convenient, but it's too convenient. So it has a very high possibility for my personal photos to leak out. So I usually avoid this kind of photos to store them. And also because I watched a video before, it's like also you like, especially for women. Well, I think sometimes like from like when you enter your location, or but it's personal choice. Like some people think it's okay, but like you can choose to do or not. Like when you enter a location on your Instagram and post it, and if your account is not private, and when people search for the location and everyone can find you, and maybe some people will come and to cyber harass you and send you direct message, private message, and or yeah, but this you can solve it because you can just block the person. And so if like you want to avoid your personal information to be leaked out, it's like if you some apps like such as Facebook, if you don't want your boss to find you, and then you can choose another name, your nickname. Or if you have a middle name, you can like do not type your middle name, just your first name, last name, but not middle name, or use a nickname. Like somewhere, if you don't want to be found, then change your name a bit. And also take care of the device you are using, like such as store your photos, like found like some apps that is secure for you. So this will have a very low risk for your photos or like some sensitive information to be leaked out. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your response. Thank you. That was helpful. Thank you very much. I think it's very important that we, the message is that we have to take steps to safeguard our privacy. We don't allow your sensitive information to be on the public domain. Don't share, don't keep your phone in a vulnerable position, put passwords, and don't leave your system without protection. Do not go to untrusted websites, and always make sure you check your details, change your password from time to time. And like Ting mentioned very well that if you have any concerns that you've been stalked cyberly, you've got to report to the necessary authorities. There are different reporting authorities. For those of us who came or who joined us later on, the video is available. It's going to be available on our Facebook page. Please like our Facebook page, Time to Heal. And it's going to be available on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe as well. So you can go through the slide over and over again. You can skip, pause, come back, and get the details and contact. Because the essence of this surgery is to enable us to have the necessary information to deal with cyber stalking, to deal with hate speech, and particularly to deal with domestic abuse wherever you are. We need to tackle this, notwithstanding the platform and manner it comes. Whether it's a traditional abuse, whether it's cyber abuse, we need to be able to deal with them. God forbid it comes, but we need to be able to deal with them. So please ask any questions, give us your comments. And I think I am seeing one more comment on the page. I think they're more of appreciation to you. People are really appreciating you, Ting, for your presentation. They're saying thank you very much for an insightful presentation. That is from Joanne. And Karuna said thank you for your presentation and your answer to her question. Thank you again for that. Does anyone have any more questions? We've still got some time to discuss. I'm sure we've got. Do we know everything about Facebook? Do we know everything about Twitter? Do we know everything about Instagram? What and what not to do? Do we know how to, are you aware the page where you can report any sensitive, not sensitive, I beg your pardon, please. There is a column where you can report any negative content that appears on your page. On YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, if you find any content appearing on your page that doesn't make sense and you feel that you're being stalked, you can report those. There's a channel where you can do that. Are you aware of all these safety measures and the laws that are there to protect you? And do you have any concern that you need us to address? This is the time. Ask question. No question is flimsy at all. Let's hear and then see how we can help ourselves. Okay, whilst others are still contemplating, I guess the silence means that you did a very fantastic work, team. So for everyone not to have, more questions, it means they really understood everything. One more from me on the area of cyber stalking. I'm really very interested because I want to make sure that we have enabled our service users, in getting the information, what to do, and also helping the government to know how to regulate better to protect the victims and survivors. You mentioned that technological effect, the last point on cyber stalking, you mentioned that technological effect. I don't know what you mean by that. Can you explain more on that aspect of cyber stalking?
Which do you mean? The last slides? Could you please show me?
Yes.
The last. Yeah.
I'm just going to ask Reverend Abiola Crown to pass over the host to me. Then I'll just place the last slide on the page right away.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Please. Thank you.
Hello, Ma. If you can hear me, the host has been, okay, I'm back now. Thank you so much. We are dealing with technology. I think that has been handled.
It's okay. I will check
so
on my
perfectly
phone.
well. Thank you. All right. I'll take you the last slide. We are almost there. Just a second. Yes, you mentioned about technological attacks as one of the different ways cyber stalking could happen. So, what do you exactly mean by that?
Oh, so it's like technology attack. It's like someone stole your account. Like if you have a Facebook account and who like a hacker and got your password, and then it can log in your account and it can like to do some technology things or to post something, or people will think it's you posted. And also maybe from your other account, they have a different, how to say, policy or something from other account. And people might get into your account and then change the password. They use, because from some account, social account, you don't need to provide your phone number. You just need to provide your previous passport, passcode, and then you're change into new one. You just need to provide the previous one, and then you can change. And then for the account owner cannot use this account anymore. Or the people the hacker who stole the account and can publish something, post something, and all the friends of this person will think, okay, it's him or it's she put this kind of things, and this will be cause your trouble to your life because it's not you, but everyone will think, yes, it's you. Yeah, this is what I mean.
That's thank you so much. You've explained it. So to put it in a little bit of a different connotation, so from that, if I understood you right, so it's possible, for example, a victim of a domestic abuse has separated from a perpetrator, and then so it is possible, in order to engineer or trigger more abuse, that someone from either side can take up an anonymous identity and a stolen identity of the other one and continue to post comments against each other, in order to do up the issue. So I think it's good to remember that could happen, and that's where the need for investigation, for reporting comes in, so that the real identity can happen. I think it has happened once, actually, to me, at a time when I was doing my first master's. My Facebook account was actually let me use the word hacked. My name, exact name, was created in a different account, and someone had to call me that it seemed that you have a double identity. I said, no, I don't have a double identity. And so basically, I had to check, and lo and behold, I was able to say that I have, God forbid, a different. Someone has taken over my account and started posting things that I would never imagine to post. So, and as soon as I noticed that, I had to make sure that that was quenched immediately. So it is possible that your identity can be stolen, and as a result of that, that can brew up further abuse. But we have to take steps and report them to the appropriate authorities and protect our account by securing them with very solid, strong passwords. And again, let there be consistency in the things you post. If people know that the things you post, these are the kind of things you're capable of posting and you're not capable of doing, once they see a different style or tone of post, it will be easy for them to tell, no, this is not possible. It's not possible for Ting to have posted this. It's not possible for XYZ to have done this. It's difficult for them to place your real identity on your content. It begins to raise doubt. So I think that's what I will have to say. We have one more. Comment from Holly. She said, "I'm sorry if I missed this point. If it was already discussed." She said that it doesn't just need to be malicious. Talking about cyber stalking and the rest, and cyber abuse, it does not need to be malicious, aggressive, or violent communications. It just needs to cause harm, alarm, or distress to the victim to qualify. That's very important. Holly, thank you very much for that. So it's important to remember that it's not just the content does not need to be malicious. It just needs to be aggressive. It just needs to be violent communication. It does not need to be malicious, aggressive, or violent communications, but it requires just to cause alarm or distress, and then that can qualify in that sense. So it's very super important to talk about victim impact when reporting the crime. That's true. That's true. The impact on the victim is very, very important. And this impact could be psychological. It could come in different ways. Thank you very much, Holly, for that point. Do you agree with that, Ting?
Yeah, I agree. And also because like from some like civil side of the cyber stalking and also from the hate speech, like from civil side, the punishment also mentioned, like if you're like injured, like your injured feelings can be claimed for for compensation or something. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. We just a little bit short of time allocated for formal presentation. This Google Surgeries has an hour allocated for presentation, then 30 minutes for personal discussions for anyone who has made request for that. So one more chance for anyone who has questions, comments, any feedback. I'm just going through the slide once more to just remind us. Ting mentioned that in 2019, there was one person was jailed for 4 years for stirring up racial and religious hatred. In the same 2019, another person, his name, Stuart Hansen, was found guilty of sending by public communication an offensive message. So these things are protected by law, and the law is there to protect us. So protection of hate speech in UK is protected by the Equality Act 2010. So let's be aware of that. And it could be criminal, it could land the person in prison, a fine and compensation could be awarded, and injunction or declaration could also be made. You know, express hate, or these are the ways that the law prohibits hate speech. Hate speech is prohibited. You know, nobody should be hated, or violence should not be directed on any person as a result of their race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And that's what the law provides in the Equality Act. So I'm just going back to remind us what has been touched. And then she mentioned that what can you do for general cyber harassment? You can report your content. The website is there on the screen. For children, there's also a website for children to get support. And the other one, which is also important, is what are the negative effects of cyber harassment? One's self-esteem, suicidal ideation, negative emotional responses. These are some of the negative effect of cyber harassment. And then she touched on the difference between harassment and traditional cyber harassment and traditional harassment. She mentioned that it is anonymous, it is persistent, it is public, and then it's permanent, and it is very hard to notice. And finally, the most common places where harassment occurs, there are social media. It occurs by text messaging apps, direct online chatting over the internet, online forums, message boards, email, online gaming communities. And then the forms of harassment using electronic means. These are the different things that have been touched today. I'm just trying to refresh our mind that we have touched very important topics today. And please, let's go back to the topics on our social media channel, on Facebook, on YouTube, and then please subscribe and look forward to more interesting topics being organized by Time to Heal and graciously brought to you by the legal support team. So with that in mind, if no one has more questions or comments, we'll be coming to close for today. I want to say thank you, Ting. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, for an insightful presentation. Thank you everyone who has contributed, who has asked questions, everyone who has joined us on Facebook as well. We really appreciate you. And we look forward to seeing us. Excuse me, just a minute. I have a chat message. Okay, I think it's just a thank you. So yes, with that in mind, if Reverend Abiola Kran is on the internet, I will ask her to give us one more few comments before we close. Over to you, Ma. All right, it seems she's not there, but I will do that on behalf of Time to Heal, on behalf of the trustees and everyone, the volunteers and the staff. We want to thank you. Thank you, team. Thank you, everyone who has contributed and everyone who has joined us for this presentation today. This concludes the legal surgery for today. We will come back next week, Saturday, the same time, 12 noon to 1:30 in the afternoon. Look forward to an interesting topic next week as well. And see us. Please have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy your time. It is raining here in Aberdeen. I don't know how the weather is in China or wherever you are. Please, but enjoy the time over there, and we'll see you next weekend. Thank you so much.
Okay, see you.
See you. Thank you, Tin. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're still online, Ma. I thought you were not there anymore.
No, I'm just there. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.